Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a companion video. What is a companion video? Well, I'm awfully glad that you asked. You see, every day on the John Campea Show, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we save time to take live questions, but sometimes we don't have time to get around to all the live questions that get sent in. But if you sent in those questions, man, I want to make sure they get answered properly in a video, so I gather up the unused questions and we address them here on companion videos. And it is, what day is it? It is Monday, June the 24th. So this companion video is picking up some of the leftover questions we had from Friday's show and today, Monday's show as well. So I got a busy week this week, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. And one of the things I got to do this week is I'm holding auditions and interviews for a new potential co-host. Because as you know, Ashley Whalen, her just schedule is getting busier and busier. So I need somebody else, and got in over 400 applications and narrowed it down to a bunch of people. Now I'm going to interview a bunch. I hate interviewing. I really do. I hate interviewing people. I don't know why. I just really, really do. I hate this process, but it is a process that needs to happen nonetheless. So I'm going to be doing that this week. Anyway, guys, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it, and we'll start getting caught up with a question from Ricky Rodriguez, who writes, love the show, John. Thank you so much, Ricky. 3 movies out next year shot on IMAX film: Wonder Woman 84, Bond 25, and Nolan's Tenet. Do you think more blockbusters will shoot IMAX film? No, not really. Not really. It's a little bit, I mean, it's neat, but it's a little bit of a gimmick. And even if you just listen to Christopher Nolan talk about it, it adds to the difficulty of shooting. When you're having to do these things with IMAX cameras, it adds to the difficulty of shooting and makes it a little bit more laborious. It also has some payoff. I'll be honest with you, I don't really care. I really don't care, but because of all those things, it'll still be something that happens, but no, I don't think it's going to become a trend. I think every year we'll see a couple of them done that way, but I don't think it's going to become a big, massive thing. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I just don't think it's going to become a big, huge thing. All right, Keith Gilmore writes, I think Tony becomes Spider-Man's new AI, kind of like Jarvis. I don't think they're going to use Robert Downey Jr. for that. Tobey Maguire as Uncle Ben. Again, I know there was some jokes going around about that, but I really don't think they'll do that. Doshi writes, I had the worst theater experience seeing Toy Story 4. This lady used Snapchat to take pics of the movie and teens swearing, I hate people. Listen, I don't like being it, and I'm not saying everybody in the world should be a narc, but at some point, you got to go grab the movie theater staff. Like when you got somebody who's just blatantly pulling out their phone and just using it through the movie, you either ask them politely or you got to go and get theater staff and get them to do it. I mean, fortunately for me, it's a very rare experience, but it does happen sometimes. And the best thing to do, like, ignore it for a bit to see if it goes away. But at some point, you just got to go get the theater staff involved, I think. Brett Brooks writes, can only see one, Godzilla 2 or Child's Play. Oh, depends on what you're in the mood for. Like, neither one of these films, I wouldn't say I think either one of these films are good. But they both have upside, and they both have some entertaining things in them. With Godzilla, it's the giant monster stuff. With Chucky, it's the laughs. It's got some good laughs in it. So it all depends what you're in the mood for. I'll lean towards Godzilla 2, because the big monsters clashing is really cool. But again, so I'm going to go Godzilla 2, but if you're in the mood just for a really good laugh, then you might want to go with Child's Play. So Josie C. Diaz writes, saw the new Child's Play and I enjoyed watching it. Yeah, I think overall, I didn't like the film, but there is, like I said, enjoyable elements to it. And there are enough really funny moments that I think there are going to be a number of people that see this and legitimately enjoy it. For me, I wasn't one of them, unfortunately. The good was unfortunately outweighed by the bad for me personally, but I didn't think it was a terrible movie, you know what I mean? And it does have redeeming qualities, so I'm glad you enjoyed it, Josie. Stubble McShave writes, new stuff in Endgame is equivalent to new trailer before film. I don't know exactly what you're saying, but that sounds pretty right. The Hood writes, what if the Spider-Man end credit introduces Maguire and Garfield to Holland since it's a multiverse? First of all, never just ask a question that starts with what if and don't actually put a question in it. Because if you want to know the answer to the question, what if the Spider-Man end credits introduces Maguire and Garfield, then the answer is then the post credits introduce Maguire and Garfield. That's the answer. Like, I don't know what it is you're asking beyond that. This is something a lot of people have been suggesting. Maguire and Garfield are, showing. No, it's not that. It's not a multiverse with somebody else's universe. It would be stupid. It's something you do on a Saturday Night Live sketch. It's something you do in a funny YouTube video. It's not something you do in your movie. So no, that's not going to happen. Epic Berserker writes, I saw your anniversary trailer. Wow. And it looked funny. I really want to watch it, but I don't know where to find it. # release the Giovanni cut. Yeah, my movie, The Anniversary, is not available right now for anybody, but I've been saying this for a while, but I am going to get around to doing it. I'm going to make my little movie, which, listen, by Hollywood professional filmmaker standards, I'll tell you what, it's bad, but I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of it. You know why? Because I made it. I wrote it, I produced it, I directed it for like zero budget, and I did it. And I'm very proud of it, even though by, discerning movie standards is not so good. But I am going to make it available to my Patreon supporters. I'm gonna take the anniversary and make it available to my Patreon supporters here pretty soon. But thank you for watching the trailer, man. I appreciate that. Adam Martinez writes, that Stranger Things 3 trailer is amazing. You know what? It's funny. I was like maybe say a day late watching the Stranger Things season 3 trailer. And I just heard everybody hooping and hollering about it and raving about it. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was mind-blowing. I thought it was good, and I'm very excited about Stranger Things Season 3. I know some people had a problem with Season 2. I quite liked it. So I'm excited about Season 3. So I don't care that I didn't fall in love with this trailer. But I thought the trailer was good, but everybody else seems to like it more than I did. Epic Berserker writes, John, can I recommend an anime you should watch? It's Clanad. It has to deal with romance, slice of life, and tragedy. I'll be just honest with you, Epic. I'm not really big into a lot of anime. There's some that are beloved to me, but I'm not into a lot of them. And I got so much other stuff I need to watch that just to be upfront and honest with you, I'm probably not going to put that in my rotation. However, the cool thing about recommending things to me on this show is that you're not just recommending it to me, you're recommending it to the thousands of other people who are now seeing your recommendation, and they may go and check it out. Because I get people writing to me all the time saying, hey, John, somebody on your show recommended this title, and I saw it, and it was great. And so that's the great thing about these recommendations, that even if it's not going to work for me, it's probably going to work for some other people, and you just gave something else for other people to really enjoy. So that's awesome. Thank you for that, Epic. All right. Raymond Verrata writes, any Toy Story spoiler talk? Now, this was a message that came in on Friday. We obviously did our Toy Story 4 spoiler discussion on Sunday. Do you think Woody is John Lasseter? Just kidding. After she left, Rashida Jones complained of Pixar not being women or person of color friendly. Yeah, I remember she did complain about that. And I saw Pixar's response and whatever. Now, Rashida Jones is still listed as either story credits or as an associate producer or some kind of producer on Toy Story 4 because she and her writing partner had originally written the first draft of the script for Toy Story 4, I believe, if I'm remembering that correctly. But no, I do not think Woody is John Lasseter. And we did do, as a matter of fact, a Toy Story 4 spoiler talk on Sunday. All right. Dominic Francis writes, but a thing isn't beautiful because it lasts. Love that line and scene between Ultron and Vision in Age of Ultron. Two machines just talking it out. We've been talking about Age of Ultron a little bit more lately. It is a movie that I appreciate more and more every time I see it. And it's to the point now that I got to say, I really enjoy that film. I really enjoy Age of Ultron. And I think a lot of people just remember it a certain way, and it's got this rap of not being all that good. I mean, everybody knew it was good, but it's not that good, to a lot of people. But I'm telling you what, the more times I see it, whether it's even just clips of it or in its entirety, the more I appreciate it. And I'm liking it an awful lot these days. I really, really am. Clam6924 writes, Yo, John, have you ever thought about adding a field reporter to go out and get reactions and comments to some of the big film releases? No. I'll be straight up with you. I think that's really lame. As a matter of fact, this goes back. I remember we thought about doing it during the AMC days. doing it during the AMC days. And while we did test it, I was always very apprehensive about it. Like, AMC wanted us to try it, and I'm like, oh, I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a bad idea. Number one, I don't think people care to watch it. Number two, I also don't think people coming out of a movie theater want somebody running up to their face with a camera and a microphone, generally speaking. And it's just boring content, in my opinion, at any rate. But AMC wanted us to try it, and so we tried it. And it wasn't good results. Nobody really cared for it. So no, at that point, I remember man on street stuff is never something I'll do again. Not to mention, since I'm no longer with an AMC theater, we can't be in theaters with cameras and microphones anymore. We would need written permission from theaters to do that, and they don't want to make their patrons feel uncomfortable. Some people running around putting a camera and mics in their faces. So no, I am definitely never thought about again doing like reaction man on street kind of stuff. Not into it at all. I'm not saying other people can't do it well. I'm not suggesting other people can't do it well. I'm just saying for me and my show and the stuff that I do, I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it'd be a very good thing at all. But thank you for offering the suggestion anyway, man. Dan C. writes, John, today is my birthday, and my wish for you is to finally watch Punisher Season 2. Well, Dan, I hope you had a great birthday, dude, and here's all my well wishes for a great year to come, and I am going to get around to watching Punisher Season 2. It is the next thing on my list. I'm going to get around to Punisher Season 2 as soon as I got a few minutes to do that. All right, Nick Breeze writes, thank you for all the great videos over the year. Well, thank you so much, Nick. It's always nice when people write something in just to say something nice. I appreciate that, man. Sid Vicious writes, Rush didn't make money because trailers didn't make it look fun. It felt somber with muted color scheme. Racing movies need to look fun to make money. I don't know that I agree with that. I don't think the entire movie-going audience are 5-year-old children with short attention spans going, ooh, shiny. I don't agree. I don't think it has to look fun because that wasn't the story of Rush. Wasn't fun, you know. It's a tremendously entertaining film. But no, I don't agree. Listen, there are car race movies that have come out with that look flashy, whatever. They don't make money either. So I don't know that I agree with that on that level. I mean, there are certainly a ton of different reasons, but you know, this was a drama about two real life guys and a real life outrageous incident that happened. And it's not meant to look like Top Gun. It was meant to look like the story that was amazing and great. And it's, it's too bad. But I don't agree with you on that one, Sid. And I think you probably will find people that do agree with you on that. But I just can't be one of them on that. All right. Razor's Edge Frisbee writes, one of two. Critics, some are great, but not for everyone. Razor's Edge Frisbee then follows up, sold. Yeah, I am. Look, first of all, I love the look of Midsommar. The A24 looked like they did it again. Another really creepy, interesting looking movie that I thought looked really quite compelling, and I want to see it. It hasn't been getting bad reviews, but I've been hearing some mixed stuff about it. But also some interesting stuff. So I'm still on board for it personally. And Razor's Edge, it sounds like you're still on board for it too. All right. AG Systems 120 writes, movies are subjective, but national review rating is suspicious. All recent 90 plus Rotten Tomatoes were rotten. Toy Story 4, Endgame, Us, Roma, Spider-Verse, The Favorite, Widows, MI Fallout, Black Klansman. Why? Yeah, we've talked a little bit about national review lately. Long and the short of it is this. So, National Review was the first. They're not the only one, though. They're not the only one, but they were the first person to break Toy Story 4's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And as you start going through National Review's numbers, they are very clearly, purposefully contrarian. Something everybody loves, then just on purpose, whether we really love it or not, we're going to give it a bad review. That's what they do. It's totally cool to have your own point of view, and if they just so happen to not like something a lot of people do, which all of us have those movies, all of us have some majorly popular film that everybody loves that we don't. We all have those. But with National Review, it's more than that, and you can just tell it's more than that. And all you have to know is that Armand White works there now, who for over a decade has been known as the absolute big contrarian film critic out there. And now he's there. So it's not really surprising. So they completely do it on purpose. I don't know that there's any other way to interpret it. They completely do it on purpose and to do exactly what they just got us to do so that we talk about them. So I don't want to talk about them anymore, but I did want to answer your question, AG. All right. Razman's Reality writes, Toy Story 4 by far, the greatest film that I never thought should have been made. I like the way you put that. Just wow. Yeah, there were a lot of people. Just like Toy Story 2. Why are they doing a Toy Story 2? You're going to ruin the first movie. Then they said they're going to do 2, and it was a 100% movie. Then they announced they're doing Toy Story 3. Why are you doing Toy Story 3? You're going to ruin the other 2. The second one was perfect. You don't need to make Toy Story 3. This is just a cash grab. Gets nominated for Best Picture to a lot of people, including me, best of the Toy Story movies. Then they say they're doing Toy Story 4. Exact same complaints. Why are you making Toy Story 4? Toy Story 3 is a perfect ending. Then you're just going to ruin the other ones. This is just a cash grab. And now people are seeing, they're like, oh my God, this movie's awesome. They did it again. Look, I was myself in the Pixar doubting business for a while. I doubted Coco. I doubted WALL-E. I doubted Ratatouille. I doubted Up. And like, I have now learned my lesson. I'm never going to doubt them again. So when Toy Story 4 is coming out, I'm like, y'all can say all you want. I ain't doubting Pixar. At this point, I am just not doubting Pixar. And really glad to it. And I love the way you put that. The greatest film that I never thought should have been made. Just wow. That's a great way to put it, man. I appreciate that. Shane's America. Tom's reaction to the M verse other Spideys question. Sorry, Shane, dude. I have no idea what you're asking about. Sorry about that, man. Stubborn McShave writes, A5 was in reference to Avatar 5, not Avengers 5. Well, listen, guys, that's why I always tell you, please don't just write things in abbreviations. Please don't write things in abbreviations and just assume I'm going to know what it is you're thinking about. So if it's important, please actually write it out. So then I'll know. I don't even remember what question that was in reference to, but just another example of why please don't just write abbreviations if there's actually titles to movies. So, because I might not know right off the top of my head, because I'm answering 500 questions and doing a bunch of stuff. I might not just click off the top of my head what movie you're talking about if you just put an abbreviation. So just a little lesson there moving forward. Valhalla Erickson writes, I'd love to see Whedon make a comeback directing an X-Men film. Since it's the guy that gave us the Avengers, how fitting would that be? Well, listen, I'm normally not into the whole, should X director direct X movie? I don't get it, X, and we're talking about X-Men. That was unintentional. But I will say this. It did feel like there was a period of time where Marvel and Joss Whedon were a little bit on the outs. But then Joss Whedon started showing up to Marvel world premieres, and then he was on that Marvel Directors Roundtable, and he's been doing a few more things with Marvel, just showing that I think, if there were bridges that were burned, and I don't know that they were, but if there were bridges that were burned at some points, it seems they may have rebuilt them, and they're back on good terms again. And I remember seeing that and thinking to myself, and we've talked about it on the show before, man, wouldn't it be great to see Joss Whedon come back? Wouldn't it be great to see Joss Whedon come back and do another Marvel film? And when the whole fiasco went on with James Gunn, one of the guys I thought was like, man, Joss Whedon would be pretty sweet. I mean, if James can't do it, Joss Whedon would be pretty sweet to direct a Guardians 2. Now, I'm totally 100% happy that James Gunn is instead coming back to do it. That's the right thing. But an X-Men situation, I'd be down for it. I mean, there are other directors who can do it. So I'm not saying Joss Whedon is the guy. All I'm saying is, if they were to announce that a Joss Whedon was going to come back and do an X-Men film, there would be something poetic about that. I mean, he kind of established what the MCU is with the first Avengers movie. Still, in my opinion, the greatest comic book movie of all time. It would be really poetic if now introducing this major franchise, the X-Men, into the MCU, if they turn back to the guy who established the Avengers in the first place. There's something poetic about that. I love everything that Joss Whedon directs. I just think the guy he's got his finger on the pulse of pop culture, but he's also a great storyteller. He writes compelling dialogue with great characters. I just think it would be great. So sign me up for that. Again, I'm not going to say that Joss Whedon is the one who should do it. I think there are many directors who could do it and would do a great job. But if they did say it was going to be Joss Whedon, I think there would be something rather poetic about that, and I'd totally be down for it. All right. Abdul Abbas writes, who made more stinkers, Spielberg or Scorsese? Well, neither of them made many. Neither of them have made many. So I don't know. That's a coin toss. I mean, I think Spielberg is the greatest of all time. I think Martin Scorsese is certainly up in the conversation as well. I don't know. I can only think of two Spielberg films I don't like. 1941 and The Terminal. Those are the only two Spielberg films that I don't like. So, and he's made a lot of films. So I'm just gonna call that a draw. I know that's not what you're looking for, but I just got to call it a draw. All right. Abdul follows up with, who'd do better, Nolan directing a Tarantino script or a Tarantino directing a Nolan script? I think, see, there's a challenge to that, and Quentin Tarantino's the challenge because Quentin Tarantino writes for his style, and Quentin Tarantino only seems to really be able to direct his own writing. So I don't know. So I'm going to go Nolan directing a Tarantino script would probably go over better than Tarantino directing a Nolan script. I mean, there's no way to know for sure. And these are two iconic, amazing, epic level directors who I love all of their work. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say Nolan directing a Tarantino script would probably go over a little bit better. Let's see here. Sid Vicious writes, Scorsese and Tarantino never goes out of their safe place. Not a bad thing, but Spielberg makes wildly different movies, which is much more impressive. No, and that right there, Sid, is actually why, to me, when you have the conversation about the greatest of all, like the GOAT, the filmmaker GOAT, I go to Spielberg. Tarantino is awesome, but, and I love Tarantino's films, and I cannot wait for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But all of Tarantino's films very much feel the same. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. But Tarantino definitively has a Tarantino style movie. And it's worked for him. And it's given us some amazing films. And I'm 100% thankful for that. But Spielberg, he can do everything from a Abraham Lincoln period piece to Jaws to E.T., to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, to War Horse, to Schindler's List, to The Terminal, even if I don't like The Terminal, but to The Terminal, to Catch Me If You Can, to like all these wildly different films that none of which feel like they're the same film in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not saying Tarantino's films feel like they're the same film, but they all feel like a Tarantino film. They all have a certain vibe and a certain way they're constructed and all that kind of stuff that you watch Django, you know you're watching a Tarantino film. And with Spielberg, I don't think that's there. I think, and now he's doing a musical. He's doing West End Story now. And he just did Ready Player One. Like Spielberg, and that's the difference between the great directors, Scorsese, Coppola, Tarantino, Nolan even, and Steven Spielberg. What puts Steven Spielberg even ahead above everybody else is that he has proved he can do any kind of movie. He can do any kind of movie. Light family comedy, deep heavy biopic, historical, sci-fi, you name it, he can do it. And that's not casting shade on any of the other great directors, none at all. It's just that, you know, Spielberg has got that touch, that ability to be something more. You know, he can just be something more. He can do AI and he can do Indiana Jones. I mean, it's wild how good this guy is. And I think with all the accolades it gets, I still think he's underappreciated. All right, Suthius writes, does Mrs. Campea ever curse you out in Tagalog? Because Anne is Filipino. And if and when you say or do something dumb, my wife will do it to me in Cambodian in a heartbeat. Actually, no, because while Anne is Filipino, she's the only person in her family, including her siblings, that she was actually born in California. She was born in Hollywood. And she doesn't really speak Tagalog very well, if at all. She'll speak it a little bit. She can understand it for the most part when her family's talking in Tagalog. But she doesn't really speak Tagalog hardly ever, if ever at all. So nope, when she wants to curse me out, she just uses good old English to curse me out. That's how it goes. Maybe I would like it better if it was in Tagalog. Brandon Plummer writes, if they do Man of Steel 2, I hope JJ does it. J.J. Abrams. Well, I mean, again, I think there are many directors who could do Man of Steel 2. JJ would be fine. Like, I like JJ Abrams very much. If they announced he was doing it, yay, I'd be happy. But I don't think he's the only guy who could do it. But again, I don't think Man of Steel 2 is in the cards. And you know how much that breaks my heart because I love Man of Steel. Love Man of Steel. Most underappreciated, undervalued, underappreciated comic book movie of all time is Man of Steel. I'd love to see a sequel. Henry Cavill, to me, greatest Superman of all time. I'd love to see him back, but I don't think it's in the cards. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully I'm wrong about that. Epic Berserker writes, to continue from my problems with Toy Story 4, is I didn't think it was funny. I thought the bunny and chick were annoying and destroyed what Toy Story was, which was loyalty, but I did like Duke. Hey, and that's movies, man. That's movies, Epic Berserker. It's subjective. I watched it, and I had a radically different experience than you did. I thought the movie was effing hilarious. Like, I actually think it's the funniest of all the Toy Story movies. I laughed myself stupid all the way through, except for when I was almost choking up and crying. It's a marvelously funny, hilarious movie. I thought Chick and Bunny were absolutely perfect for it. I think they added to it beautifully. Their scenes were hilarious, but that's the beautiful thing about movies, man. They're subjective. You watched it. Same movie I did, but we had two different experiences with it and two different reactions to it. And that's not a bad thing. That is the best thing about movies, is that they're art. You can hang a piece of art on the wall, have 10 people standing around it, all looking at the same piece of art, but we all saw 10 different things. That's the beautiful thing about movies, and why us having different experiences and different encounters with a piece of art gives us something to talk about. And I thoroughly disagree with you, but that's okay, because we each had different perceptions of it, and that's awesome. So thank you for sharing your thoughts with me on that, Epic. All right. Keithon Toothman, and I think this is the last one of the day, and we're all caught up. Keithon Toothman writes, I mentioned how here in Wichita, Endgame has been gone from theaters for about 2 weeks. I remember that. But I just found out they will not be putting it back in when they add the post-credit stuff, and I'm pissed. Big deal. Love you, buddy. That's interesting, because you know what? My assumption has been that when they add in this post-credit stuff to Endgame, remember, it's not a new cut of the movie. It's the exact same movie. They're just putting in a deleted scene in the post-credits. A deleted scene, a tribute, which I'm assuming is going to be for Stan Lee, and a couple of little fun things, which I'm assuming are going to be little behind-the-scenes blooper stuff. So, whatever. My assumption was going to be they would expand the release a little bit, because it's down to about 1,000 theaters right now. Endgame's in about 1,000, which is still a hell of a lot. Endgame's down to about 1,000 theaters right now. I assumed that they would maybe expand it back out to 1,200 or 1,300 or 1,400 or something like that. But I've been hearing, you're the second or third person, Keithon, that's written to me and said, I just checked with my local theater and they're not putting it back on the screens. That's now come off of. So, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We'd have to see. Is it a big deal? No, it's just some post-credit stuff. That's all it is. It's not a new movie. It's not a new cut of the movie. It's not a new version of the movie. It's just one deleted scene, one tribute, and some fun stuff, they said. All stuff that you're going to be able to watch on home video in about 5 weeks. So I really wouldn't worry about it, friend. I really wouldn't worry about it at all, because you're going to get to see it pretty soon anyway. So there's that. Anyway, guys, that will do it for this installment of our companion videos, getting caught up on all the questions you guys sent in. Don't forget, guys, the John Campea Show returns again tomorrow. Robert Meyer Burnett and my good friend, actress Erin Cummings, will be in studio here, and we're going to talk about, we got a bunch of topics we're already talking about here that we're getting ready to do tomorrow that I'm very excited about. Hopefully you guys can join us for that as well. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.